Are you retired, or is that the plan at some time? How much money will you need to live comfortably in California, or is that not possible for most people? Let's bring in money expert Andy Fast Wealth Strategies. Andy, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, good to have you. A recent study by the long-term care group Care Scout says California has the third worst retirement outlook in the country. That 65-year-olds are short by about $400,000 for what they need to retire. What does that need?
Well, I think because they are a long-term care research place, they're referring mostly to long-term care, what it costs in California for nursing home care, aid and stuff, which is very expensive compared to the rest of the country. So Fidelity, for example, has done research, and they say that people who hit 65 will probably have a 70% chance of needing some form of long-term care.
Okay.
So California is pretty expensive.
Okay, for people who are going to spend their retirement years in California, what do they do to make the money last?
Well, the first thing is, as I like to say, is you got to plan, because too often, too many people wait until they get pretty close and then go, what are we going to do? You have to ask yourself questions. When am I going to take Social Security? What am I going to do? Am I going to own? Am I going to rent? Am I going to keep my house, sell? Do I want to live here? The big thing is, have I accumulated assets enough to generate the income I need? Which mathematically, what you need to do is look at your fixed sources of income, kind of bump that against what you think your retirement needs will be, and then see if there's a gap. If there's a gap, how are you going to fill it?
Okay, what are the prime expenses that hit retirees that they're like, I didn't see that coming?
Yeah. I think the number one is healthcare.
Okay.
Again, going back to Fidelity, they did a study that says the average couple in retirement will need about $345,000. That's a lot of money, and that doesn't include long-term care. So, how do we pay for that? The other thing is most of us, as we get older, are on Medicare. Now, Medicare premiums seem to go up every year, but there's also something called the IRMA, the Income-Related Monthly Adjustment Amount. And that goes up as your income goes up. Now, a lot of people say, well, my income is going to go down in retirement, but what they don't factor in is when they get to 73, they start taking RMDs if they have large 401ks, right. IRAs. That's a taxable event. That could bump up your income tax.
For a lot of your clients that live in California, if they are coming up short, you could move to Nevada or Texas,
Sure.
No state income tax, right?
Right.
Do you find that people are like, I just can't make it work in California?
Some people do, and what we recommend they do is, okay, let's look at it. It looks good on paper, but you're right, there's no income tax in Texas or Nevada. California, pretty substantial. Texas, Nevada doesn't tax distributions from pensions and IRAs and stuff. Nevada and Texas don't tax Social Security, but California doesn't tax Social Security.
Right.
For guys like me, now the California is not taxing military pensions. That's a real boost. So, you got to look at sales tax. Higher in California than Nevada and Texas. Property taxes, lower in Nevada, but higher in Texas than California. So factor all these things in.
And I like to say, if you do live in California, you got great weather, you got great national parks and state parks, and quality of life is part of it too. If you want to move to a humid state and deal with that, California is still a pretty good place to live, right?
Anybody who's lived in Florida or Texas in the summer, does that. I'm a transplanted New Yorker.
Okay.
I love California, but there is a California premium.
Yeah,
there is. And we have to make adjustments for that. Housing, living expenses, energy costs, is it worth it? Can you afford the lifestyle you want staying in California? Or do you need to entertain looking at someplace else?
Right. All right. Andy Fast Wealth Strategies.
Great.
Andy, thank you.
Thank you.